Blowing out today, although it was blowing in yesterday, and it didn't bother the Cubs bats at all, did
it? What wind? Yeah, wind was blowing in. We thought it would be a pitcher's day, but the Cubs hit a number of balls through that wind yesterday. Addison Russell with his first 2-home run game standing out in particular.
All right, let's check out the highlights from the series opener here at the ballpark. Temperatures cooled off just a little bit. Nice crowd on hand, and the Cubs got it going early. Control issues for former Cub farmhand Zach Godley. 4 walks in the first inning, 2 coming with the bases loaded.
Yeah, making just his 4th major league start. I think the moment got to him a little bit. It was an interesting run. It was 6 pitchers for the Diamondbacks yesterday, each and every one of them a rookie.
Here's Addison Russell's first home run of the ball game. He cranked it to left, his 11th of the season, coming from the 9 spot in the Cubs order. 4-0 Cubs, and then bottom of the 4th. Russell comes up again in his first career 2-homer game. That made it 6-1. And then it really got out of reach, JD, in the bottom of the 5th. Anthony Rizzo with a big grand slam.
Yeah, because going into that inning, it was a 6-2 ball game. John Lester had thrown a lot of pitches, so you knew it was going to be kind of a short day for John, but it became a moot point because the Cubs exploded with an 8-run inning, including that grand slam by Rizzo. Remember, he'd been in a little bit of a funk, but really broke out in a big way yesterday. Good to see Javi Baez hit his first home run in a Cub uniform this year.
So that made it 14-2. It's all the Cubs would need, and then some. The final score 14-5 will highlight 3 offensive performances. And again, great to see, as you mentioned, Baez have the big day. And Russell, the first guy starting in the 9th spot in the Cubs order to hit 2 homers since Fergie Jenkins did it back in 1971.
Yeah, and we've talked about Russell a lot, how he's improved his approach in the second half, how he's getting to fastballs a lot better, and the numbers obviously have shown that.
Cubs have a lot of depth right now, position player-wise, and Joe Maddon likes to have moving parts defensively. So we're just going to go around the diamond, and actually we don't have all the players on the list because of the addition of Austin Jackson and Javier Baez playing a little third, but it's good to see guys move around. Look at Chris Bryant.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Joe Maddon talked to Bryant earlier in the year. Bryant said he was willing and actually liked playing the outfield, so he's gotten the chance to play all 3 outfield positions. Maddon loves flexibility, and any manager would, but he's willing to put guys maybe a little bit outside of their comfort zone if guys are willing to embrace it. Chris Coghlan may be the most glaring example of that, a guy who's moved from the outfield to the infield. And there's old, reliable Anthony Rizzo, the only guy on the roster, the current roster, who's made a start at first base.
Yeah, so Baez will start at third today. Jackson gets the nod in right. Jorge Soler currently on the disabled list. Let's hear from the manager on that defensive versatility.
A lot of it has to do with conversations early in the year. When you just spring things on guys, they don't normally like that. So even like in spring training, talking through all these different moments with Javier, as an example, KB, from the beginning let us know that he likes the outfield. It's not a big deal for him. Then Coghlan was the guy that came on board a little bit later, and then you have to give him a lot of credit there because he just attacked it. Going from the outfield to the infield, I think, is a little bit more difficult than the other way around normally. I think they also understand that it provides more opportunity for them, and moving forward in your career, it just can make it better for you. Game in progress, it's really nice to be able to do those things with different players, to know that you can do different things and know that you're covered matters. So it's just something I think that you have to be proactive with talking about in advance of, and when you do that, the guys are pretty accepting of it.
Also not fearing about making a mistake and being called out for it? Or
No, they have no threat of that at all. They know that. It's not about, I expect them to make mistakes. Go ahead and make them, please. As long as they care and their work is good, it's no big deal. I don't like the mental mistakes. We've talked about that. That's where, being in the wrong position, missing cutoff guys, just not thinking, not being focused in advance of the moment, those are the ones that bother you.
Well, another guy who's been pretty adaptable. He's caught a whole lot, but he's also made 2 appearances on the mound. David Ross, next. Arrieta on the mound today, coming off his no-hit performance in Los Angeles on Sunday night. And the man who will catch him, David Ross, chatted with our Kelly Crawl earlier, and yesterday was a laugher. Nice to have a comfortable lead in the middle of the ballgame, right, David?
Yeah, it's nice as a catcher, especially when you got that big of a cushion to work with the pitchers. It's nice to get Johns a quick outing, get him in and out of there, not have to grind through the day. And some work for some guys after the off day in the bullpen. So I think it's all around. It's fun to watch these young guys swing the bats. They're so impressive. They don't give away at bats and working the walks and then a couple homers into the win, especially, Addy and that one Riz hit, and see Javi get on the board here this year. So it's a lot of fun.
You know John really well and have been with him for a long time. In terms of getting just a couple innings off there, I know he probably didn't want to come out in the fifth, but Joe Madden has a scheme in mind. He knows what he's doing when he does that. Can that really save bullets for later? Is that theory? Do you feel like that holds true?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it accumulates over time, of a long season that we play. So, anytime you can give guys a break, you got Rizzo off his feet, Jack's off his feet yesterday, KB, a lot of those guys take a couple innings off. It's nice. It's a little breath of fresh air to sit over there and watch the game, because those guys don't get to do that too often. Like I do. I get to watch a lot more. It's fun to watch sometimes.
Well, you're not going to be watching today. You're going to be back there behind Jake Arrieta, who I know the last time out, you weren't around for the no-hitter, but the first day you got back, I saw you run up, give him the biggest hug. What was that conversation like?
Well, I just was so proud of him and wanted to tell him congratulations and, wish I was there and the whole thing. I couldn't be there, but it was fun to watch, and I was in the hospital pacing at the time. So I told him I had a good story for him about what I was doing and how it all went down, and I was just pacing the room and it's all quiet. And but to watch him do that was so impressive. Him and Miggy both, like just the way they worked, and to watch that on TV and not be there stunk, but I was super happy for him.
Took your mind off things for a little bit, and you did have a good excuse. But in terms of the biggest challenge for Jake now today, getting back out there, you know a lot of guys who've been in this situation. What is it that he just needs to get started with, kind of get his back? I don't know if his mind really needs to reset. He seems like he's always in the zone, really. Yeah,
well, he's such a consistent worker. I think if he goes out there and is Jake Arrieta, then he'll be fine. Just be himself. So I don't think we're expecting anything more or less from him than his last outing. Obviously was impressive, but he gives us a quality out. Obviously the whole month. I mean, he's setting records, and he's 6-0 last month. So we just expect him to go out and be his normal self, and hopefully that helps us win the ballgame.
Last one. Guys talk a lot about September, the extra energy it brings when you are in the race. Are you feeling the demeanor change in any way, or just stay true to the course of who this team's been all season?
I've seen a lot of the same, to be honest with you. We got a little bit of difference in here because some new guys and new faces that we're getting used to and getting to know, but nothing's changed around here. Things are real consistent.
Good stuff. David Ross had a good excuse to be away last week. His wife had a baby. Great to have him back. He'll start today with Jake Arrieta. JD will rejoin me as we get you set for Cubs baseball here on CSN. huge Labor Day weekend crowd walking into beautiful Wrigley Field. A Reynolds Wrap blanket giveaway today as we bring you Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Diamondbacks and the Cubs. Great to have you with us for Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet. Jim DeShays and Len Casper. The story of the week in baseball, not just the Cubs, has been Jake Arrieta.
Yeah, story of a good long while now has been Jake Arrieta. No-hitter last time out. We'll see what he can do for an encore here this afternoon. But let's take a look at this amazing season, really a historic season, one of the best ever by a Chicago Cub pitcher. This is start number 28 for Jake. 14 consecutive quality starts during that stretch, 11-1. with an ERA of 1.07 in the month of August. That was unbelievable. 6-0 with an 0.43 ERA.
So he'll try to follow up that great month of August with his first start here in September. And Paul Goldschmidt is back in the Diamondbacks lineup, and that gives us a chance to compare two really good first basemen.
Yeah, Chip Hale needs all his firepower here today against Arrieta. And Paul Goldschmidt, perennially now an MVP candidate. He and Anthony Rizzo, two of the best, not just first basemen, but players in baseball. You see the numbers comparable in terms of average and home runs. Goldschmidt a little bit better, but these guys really superior players.
Cubs with a comfortable 7.5 game lead ahead of the Washington Nationals for the second wild card spot. And they'll turn to their right-hander, Jake Arrieta. Coming up, Diamondbacks and Cubs are next.
By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Nice day here at the ballpark. September the 5th, 2015. The Cubs in a very good spot in terms of the wild card race. So just to get into the playoffs, they've got a good cushion. You see the Central, they're 9.5 games back. Forget about the Cardinals for the moment. 4 games behind the Pirates for the top wild card. But 7.5 against their nearest competition. That is now the Nationals. That's because the Giants, JD, have dropped 7 in a row. They have had a roller coaster ride this year.
Yeah, things finally catching up with the Giants. They've been able to hang in there. They've had a lot of significant injuries, and they've just been in a pretty good free fall of late. Nationals playing better baseball, still with a chance to run down the Mets, but they are now the closest in proximity to the Cubs for that second wild card spot. And Cubs with a big series coming up on this road trip in Pittsburgh.
Nice ovation for Jake Arrieta as he leads the Cubs onto the field. First action anywhere since his no-hitter in Los Angeles. And we'll try to do the Johnny Vandermeer here, right? And become the first Cub to pitch a no-hitter at Wrigley Field since Milt Pappas in 1972. Here's the Diamondbacks Southwest starting lineup. Gets a little tougher today. And Ciarte, Pollock, Goldschmidt is back. His wife had a baby on Wednesday, a boy named Jake. Peralta, Saltalamacchia, and Lamb in the middle. Brandon Drury is at second, batting seventh. Chris Owings will play short for Nick Ahmed today. Robbie Ray, the pitcher, bats ninth.
We got a new game. It's not Where's Waldo, it's Where's Chris. And today we find Chris Bryant out in left field as we present our Sleepy's defense for the Cubs. He's joined in the outfield by Dexter Fowler and Austin Jackson. Third to first, we go Baez, Russell, Castro, Rizzo. Different look on the infield as well. David Ross does the catching this afternoon, and the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is a man who was just shy of perfect last time out with that no-no. Leads the league with 17 wins. He is second in the league with a 2.11 ERA. He's having one of the best years in the history of this franchise for a starting pitcher. Just outstanding stuff. League bats 195 against him. That 161 batting average against by left-handed hitters is the best in baseball.
Bill Welke will call balls and strikes. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, is at first. John Tumpane at second, and James Hoy over at third.
So it's inevitable to contemplate back-to-back no-hitters. See how long Jake's able to go here today. This is a tough club to no-hit. This group here, they got a bunch of high-average hitters. As if there's a team that's easy to no-hit.
Right. So it'll be Ender Inciarte to lead it off. That was a 14-5 winner yesterday. Season series tied at 2 apiece.
Inciarte 0 for 5 yesterday. Did not hit the ball out of the infield.
Did reach once and stole 2 bases and scored a run. But as JD mentioned, no hits. 1 strike on him. Lefties batting 161 against Arrieta. He has been devastating versus left-handed hitters.
Yeah, anyway you dissect him, the numbers just eye-popping. That 0.43 August ERA, 7-1 with a 1.03 since the All-Star break. All-Star voters would like a mulligan. They'd like a second chance. Arrieta did not make that team, and if they obviously had a postseason All-Star team, as they used to do back in the day, for a couple of years anyway, he would be obviously on that team. He's on the short list of Cy Young candidates.
Baez in at third, and a 1-2 is hit right back to the mound, and it will underhand toss to Rizzo for the out.
Not to the extent of John Lester, but I think Jake has a little issue throwing to the bases as well, so he prefers the underhand flip. So today's game starts as yesterday did, and Ciarte bouncing back to the mound.
We'll bring up All-Star A.J. Pollock.
Some rain earlier. It was cooler this morning, but heating up as the afternoon rolls along. Humid, wind blowing out.
80 degrees here at game time. Strike called. 95 on the fastball to Pollock. Only player in baseball with at least 30 doubles and 30 steals.
Good, solid, all-around player. He has power. He has speed. He's a plus defender out there in the outfield.
Arrieta, the only 17-game winner in baseball. So trying to win number 18. No Cub pitcher has won 20 in a season since John Lieber 14 years ago. The way he has pitched here all year, and particularly as of late, you do like his chances.
Oh, ho, ho.
I think he's going to need that Reynolds wrap blanket in a few months.
Bundle up, stay warm.
Line shot left field and right at Chris Bryant for out number 2.
So Arrieta with the no-hitter last time. He struck out 12, walked 1 reached on an error. The beautiful thing about it, aside from all that good stuff, is he only threw 116 pitches. That's very efficient for a no-hit game with all those strikeouts. Plus, with the day off this week, he's working with an extra day's rest. So you're always concerned when a guy goes the distance and it might take a little bite out of him for his next start. But those two factors, the day off and the fact that he was so efficient, leads me to believe that it shouldn't be a problem.
Chip Hale is very happy to have Paul Goldschmidt back. There's 2 games in 3 days total. They had an off day Thursday after the birth of his first child, a boy named Jake. 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-Star starter. Leads the National League since 2013 in slugging, OPS, and extra base hits. He does everything well. 2-1. He has scorched Cubs pitching in his career. 22 games, he's hit .383. Slider is fouled out of play.
Yeah, he's having another beast of a season. As Len mentioned, he does it all. Very good defender, good base runner. And from the manager's point of view, he's just maintenance free. Just plays the game the right way.
It's not a balk with nobody on base, so Jake will just start it over.
Change of heart, perhaps, as to pitch selection.
With a fastball, and it's up and away at 96. Full count, 3-2. David Peralta's on deck.
We looked at the comparison between Goldschmidt and Rizzo pregame, and the other thing that they have in common, both signed a long-term, very club-friendly deals with the amount of production they are providing.
Line drive, and it gets down in front of Jackson. Solid opposite field single.
Who's scoring this game? That could easily have been caught. It's got to be an E9.
I heard a few people clapping as if to acknowledge the fact that he finally gave up a hit and to applaud his effort in today's no-hit bid. Bill Seipel is the official score today, and for now it's a hit.
For now and forevermore.
A former pitcher, David Peralta. 3 seasons in the Cardinals organization as a pitcher. And I think he made the right decision to convert to an outfielder. Second year now with the Diamondbacks at the big league level. 9 triples each season.
Yeah, very rare to make this conversion, right? You see a lot with position players who don't pan out in the minor leagues, guys with big arms that maybe did or maybe did not do some pitching when they were younger, make that transition to the mound. A lot of times it's in a relief role.
Rick Ankiel is a guy who you think about for sure. He pitched at the big league level. Peralta did not.
And Ankiel just, he developed a thing where he couldn't throw the ball over the plate. And he's such a good athlete, he was able to make the transition. That Ruth fella, back in the day, was pretty good. George Ruth.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Peralta was not particularly good in the minor leagues as a pitcher. Goldschmidt will head to third. So back-to-back two-out singles. We'll bring up the catcher, Jared Saltalamacchia. Started the year with Miami, but didn't make it through the first month of the season. Eventually released and then signed a minor league deal with the Diamondbacks. Switch hitter. And he takes a strike.
Two-seam running fastball at 97 right over the outside corner for Arrieta. He's making his second start against the Diamondbacks this year. No decision last time. He allowed 6 runs, 3 earned in 6 innings of work. That was back on May 23rd.
Saltalamacchia making $7 million this year. We mentioned short stint to start the year in his second season with the Marlins. So they're basically paying his salary aside from the prorated minimum. Took off for second. It looked like he was going to try to get in a rundown. Ross didn't bite, and Peralta will get the steal as Goldschmidt holds it third.
Yeah, as David came out of his crouch and pumped towards second base, Goldschmidt drifted down the line a little bit, but Baez playing way off the line, wasn't there to receive a throw from Ross. Faking. Goldschmidt bites, but nobody to throw the ball to.
Just missed. Full count, 3-2. The man with the longest last name in Major League history, Jared Saltalamacchia, 14 letters. First base open, a full count. The kick and a pitch, swing and a miss. He got him. First strikeout for Arrieta. Strands a couple in scoring position, and the Cubs are coming up against left-hander Robbie Ray. It's a hit. Binny's Beverage Depot will donate $100 to Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Cubs with a great offensive performance yesterday as they took a ton of walks, hit 4 home runs, 12 hits, and a blowout win. Fowler, Jackson, and Bryant as we check out the Southwest starting lineup. Rizzo, Baez, Castro in the middle, Ross, Arrieta, and Russell to round it out.
Digging the horn section today. Sleepy's, the mattress professionals, the only mattress professionals with the Diamondback defense. Peralta, Pollock, and Ciarte. Pollock and Ciarte both above average out there. Lamb, Owens, Drury, and Goldschmidt. Kind of a remade infield here. Jared Saltalamacchia behind the plate. And the young Molly Duker on the mound is Robbie Ray. So for the 5th consecutive game, the Cubs will face a rookie starting pitcher. Ray is 3-10 with a 3.72. 23 years of age, 6'2", $195.
Two and one the count. Ray making his Wrigley Field debut. 6'2", 195. He's not taking much time here between pitches. 3-1. Well,
let's see if the Cubs can employ that same patient approach today as they did yesterday against the young righty Godley. A young guy, nerves could be a factor. You want to give them a chance to get themselves in trouble. You don't want to go up there and just take fastballs over the heart of the plate.
30th time the Cubs have faced a left-handed starter. They're 16-13 through their first 29.
Whereas Arrieta has been red hot, things have not been going well for young Robbie Ray. His last 9 starts, he's 0-6 with a 5.40.
You see, not averaging a lot of innings. Over 5 innings per start. Pollock makes the grab. So Fowler retired to start the Cubs first.
Yeah, his last win July 7th against the Rangers down in Arlington. He's had some good starts in this stretch. Not a lot of run support. And as Len mentioned, some short outings.
Austin Jackson 1 for 5 with an RBI and a run in the opener. Called strike. Acquired on Monday from Seattle. His Cub debut Tuesday night. And a chance to play here with Jorge Soler on the DL, and now Kyle Schwarber out until at least the middle of next week. With the mild sprain of his right rib cage, that's opened up a little more time in the outfield for everybody. 2-1. Robbie Ray already with his 3rd organization, and he's just 23. Nationals, Tigers, Diamondbacks. He's pitched in the big leagues with Detroit and now Arizona. Ball 4. Cubs took 8 walks yesterday, so now 9 in the series. I know it's 9 because I'm good at math. 8 plus 1 is 9.
Good ciphering right there.
Chris Bryant took a bases loaded walk in the first inning. That ended up being the game-winning RBI. Two more RBIs and he'll set a Cubs rookie single season record. On the ground, Owings to Drury, and they'll only get Jackson. So fielder's choice for Bryant. And here comes Anthony Rizzo with 2 outs.
Yesterday was Nick Ahmed at shortstop for the Diamondbacks. He's off today. Owens came up as a shortstop. He's been playing mostly second base this year. Owens Lam's a little better with the bat. Ahmed, a superior glove man, although he did make a big error in the ball game yesterday.
Guessing the second baseman.
Stay with him. Stay with him. Stay with him. Who was that guy?
Hitting over.
Lamb. Lamb made the play.
Okay.
Season, we're bringing you the most and the best of programming and pre- and post-game shows. Of course, Chris Bowden, Lance Briggs, Dan Jiggets, and Jim Miller, all a part of that show. And visit csnchicago.com for any more programming information. Well, we'll scoreless here in the top of the second. Former Cub Mark Grace back in town for this series, and assistant hitting coach with the Diamondbacks. Now had a chance to catch up with him, and he said he could feel the buzz here in Wrigley yesterday. He goes, I lived it for 13 years. 3 of those years were just awesome because we were in contention, and so is this team. A big fan of these guys. Says he likes the first and third baseman guys, and don't even get him started on Addison Russell, but feels like if they can stay the course, they could do some big damage in postseason. So high praise from Mark Grace.
Kelly, thank you. Great to see Gracie back at Wrigley Field in a big league uniform where he definitely belongs. The assistant hitting coach to Turner Ward.
Yeah, they got a good group over there. Good coaching staff led by manager Chip Hale.
Left-handed hitting Jake Lamb. He came off the bench in the 6th yesterday. Went 2 for 2 with a 2-run homer.
He has struggled against lefties, but he's been really good against right-handed pitching. He's adding .341 over his last 13 ball games.
Fouls upstairs, and this was his home run off Tommy Hunter. Tommy knew it immediately.
Those breaking balls have gotten away from Jake. He has been so good when he misfires like that, it really gets your attention.
The ground and deflected off the glove of Rizzo and past Castro into right. Third hit. 6 batters in now for the Diamondbacks. They've all been singles.
A good effort here by Rizzo. And once he deflected it, no chance for Castro. Wind gusty here today to settle down a little bit as of now. Arrieta, a high strikeout, high ground ball pitcher, does a nice job keeping the ball in the ballpark. He's allowed just 9 long ones this year.
Brandon Drury came over from Atlanta prior to 2013. And with Nick Ahmed, that was that big deal involving Justin Upton, right?
I'll go with yes.
Team Prado.
Drury, a rookie, hit .331 at AAA this year. Diamondbacks are an intriguing team. They've got some very talented young position players. They're a little short, especially in the rotation. Short on the pitching staff. Expect they will be pretty aggressive this winter, trying to find some pitching, whether it's free agency or via trade.
1-1 on Drury. It's his 4th major league game. He's 2 for 8 with a walk. No extra base hits. Just getting started. Arrieta to Russell. The Rizzo double play. Just like that, 2 outs.
Well, sometimes you make your pitch and you get beat. Sometimes you miss badly and good things happen. That's precisely what happened here. Jake missed his target by a wide margin. It turns it into a 1-6-3 double play.
So 2 outs, nobody on, and it's Owings batting 8th, and he shows bunt, takes a strike. That is a strike. It's 0-2.
And Chip Hale knows that if Arrieta gets locked in, it's going to be a tough day for his guys. So the inability to take advantage of these early opportunities could come back and bite the Snakes.
One and two. The pitcher Ray is on deck. Jackson drifting back, and he's got it, and that's it for Arizona in the second, scoreless after an inning and a half. Talk. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at CSN Cubs. These guys managed against each other in the playoffs. Now part of the same organization. Bob Brentley, former Cubs color analyst, now with the Diamondbacks, and Tony La Russa running their baseball department. As you mentioned, they've got some work to do, but probably mostly on the pitching side over the winter.
Yeah, they've got some very young, talented position players who are going to be under control for a while now, not making gobs of money by Major League Baseball standards, so there should be some money to spend. And there should be some depth in their organization from which they could trade to acquire pitching, too. They just have to identify who their guys are going to be with going forward, and that's a lot of what September is all about for a team like the Diamondbacks.
Former big league pitcher Dave Stewart is the senior vice president and general manager. And Dave pitched for Tony.
He pitched for Tony. He pitched for a long time, and he was really good. Then he was an agent for a while before getting onto back into the baseball side of things with the D-backs. That has to be an advantage, having worked the other side of the table when it comes to negotiations.
Swing and a miss by Baez. It's 1-2. Had a really nice day yesterday. 3 for 4, a home run, a walk, knocked in 3. Pointed toward the sky after his home run for his sister Noelle, who passed away earlier this year, and he swings and misses. First strikeout for Robbie Ray.
Couple good off-speed pitches there to get Baez. He was very fastball dependent in the first inning, mixing in some softer stuff, and he gets Baez out in front, and that has been the story for Ray this year. He's thrown his fastball over 70% of the time. Looks like one of those guys that can have success elevating that four-seam fastball.
And fires to Castro, and it's a strike. Couple of transactions of note. Right-hander Rafael Soriano has been released by the Cubs. Also, the White Sox have claimed Mike Olt off waivers. A 1-1. Castro went, pretty sure he did, and confirmed by John Hirschbeck. 1-2. Foul over the Cubs dugout. Ray is from Brentwood, Tennessee. That is a suburb of Nashville, just south of the city. And considered to be one of the wealthiest cities in the United States when you factor in the cost of living.
Really? Maybe a lot of country music stars live there.
I'm guessing that's the case.
Some kiddies and some twitties.
Soft liner and a base hit for Castro. Cubs on the hit board.
Had Kitty Wells married Conway Twitty, her name would be Kitty Twitty. Ross drafted in the 12th round by the Nationals in 2010 and signed with them. Instead of going on to college, he was going to go pitch at the University of Arkansas.
Kitty married Jim Cott. She was in Kitty Cott. Ross fouls. Thanks to David for joining us on our pregame coverage. Kelly Kroll. Outside, it's 1-1. Cubs are 17-4 in his last 21 starts. When healthy, catches John Lester starts. Today's in there with Arrieta. Here's the pitch. Just off the outside corner.
Good day at the plate yesterday for David. A sac fly and a double. And driving the ball to right field.
Castro asking, I think, John Hirschbeck about that move by Ray to first.
It's kind of funky looking, wasn't it?
It was.
You know, there's been 10 steals and only one caught with Ray on the mound. Well, not a bad idea to get a pretty big lead here and just see what his move looks like.
Quick to the plate is the lefty, and it's 3-1.
Yeah, see, that's just not doing your homework. You know, Castro's not a base stealer. There's no need to really employ a slide step there.
He walked him. Bring up the pitcher Arrieta. Career high 9 hits this season. And 3 of those extra base hits, double, triple homer. With 2 on and 1 out. Scoreless tie here in the second inning.
Diamondbacks anticipating bunt. You have to play for it. No guarantee it's going to happen here.
Trying to do some damage on that swing.
The bunt here, twofold. If you decide to bunt, one to move the runners up, obviously, and secondarily to stay out of a double play. Would be the bigger concern with Russell on deck, a guy who hit 2 home runs yesterday. I'd like to see him get a whack at it here in this inning.
Jake had 4 at-bats in his no-hitter. He struck out in the first 3, and then in the 8th inning off J.P. Howell Sunday night, he singled. It's the kind of hit where if you're Joe Madden, you go, oh no. How long is he going to be out there? Well, he was quickly eliminated on a double play. Huge crowd here at Wrigley Field. Labor Day weekend. Another game tomorrow, and then off on an 11-day, 11-game trip starting on Labor Day afternoon in St. Louis. Struck him out. So Ray, who, man, he was working about as fast as Mark Burley with nobody on base, really slowing it down with men on as he faces Russell coming off a 2-homer performance.
Yeah, and that's not atypical. You would like to see a pitcher try to maintain that same tempo. Sometimes guys get really thoughtful with men on base and become less athletic.
It's to third, foul. Well, thoughtful with men on base. So what?
Just worried about
girlfriends or wives flowers or what?
Yes, they do. They get more. You know, I should have called home today before the game. Why did I have that second cup of coffee?
Strike, it's 0-2.
Now one of his better fastballs, and he's got good life. That one clocked at 95. We see him consistently 93, 94. I think for a guy like Ray, who does look like he has some swing and miss abilities up, the key is to be able to go down initially, get strikes down there, and then climb the ladder.
Russell contributing nicely to 55 homers total by Cubs rookies. He's hit 12 of those. Second most in a single season by a Cubs rookie class. In 1966, Cub rookies hit 58. So they seem to be well on their way to breaking that mark. Ray gets out of it. All the outs were strikeouts here in the second. And you just might see yourself later in the game. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Glad to have you with us this afternoon. Third inning. Diamondbacks and Cubs are scoreless. Although I've been taken to task for that word, scoreless. There is a score. It's 0-0, but this is kind of a sports thing. File it under the "you know what I meant" category. Ray 2 out of 19 this season, 3 for 21 in his career. Maybe we should say runless in the future.
Nobody has made any runs yet. How are you going to win them if you don't make any runs?
Two and two.
Talked a lot about Jake this year because he's been out there a lot and been awfully good, and the stuff obviously stands out, but the delivery too, there's deception there. It's a tough read for the hitter. He kind of steps across his body towards the third base side, rocks those shoulders back, hides the ball well. That power slider down and in to the left-handed hitters has been devastating.
Finish off Ray. He just kind of punched at it, and he lines out to Russell.
Cub fans, let's go. There are only 12 regular season home games remaining. Don't miss the stretch run here at Wrigley Field. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. That shot right there of Bryant after the game winner, and Strope running alongside. That was the cover of the SI. Came out here recently.
Quite a scene. I was asked the other day that the highlight of the year, Arrieta's no-hitters got to be number one, but so many dramatic finishes here at the ballpark. It's hard to pick just one. 1-1 to Inciarte. Chopper foul. I'll tell you one that happened very early in the year. The Dexter Fowler game-winning homer in Denver off LaTroy Hawkins. We always want to make these defining moments late in the season, middle of the year when your record turns around, but that one stands out. 2 outs.
Yeah, walk-offs, obviously, when you think back on a successful season, think about those big dramatic end-of-game hits, big comebacks. You're down 3-4 runs, and you come back and manage to pull one out. Could have been.
Middle of the year, the Cubs were struggling. Remember, they had been swept by the Phillies. It was Bryant with the big game-ending homer against the Rockies. (2-0) on the dangerous A.J. Pollock. 2 outs, nobody on. And that ball lined and caught by Russell. Diving stab by Addison Russell to end the inning. Pollock has lined out twice. And a terrific play by the rookie. And we remain runless. The August awards handed out earlier this week. Albert Almora had a great month with AA Tennessee. Pitcher of the month. Love that logo, the Eugene Emeralds. Oscar De La Cruz, right-hander. Also great to have with us for the next few days Cubs minor league infield coordinator Jose Flores and the pitching coordinator Derek Johnson. Ground ball right to Goldschmidt. He gobbles it up and gets Fowler.
Well positioned, Goldschmidt right there to handle that hot smash. He's committed just 3 errors this year.
Hey, congrats to right-hander Carlos Pimentel of the Iowa Cubs, named the Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Year. 12-6 with a .299, leading the league in ERA, tied for first in wins, second in strikeouts. My Cubs were eliminated from playoff contention on Wednesday. Jackson takes a strike. In the dirt.
Hit him.
So Jackson gets clipped.
On for the second time. Drew a walk in the bottom of the first. Jackson has stolen 15 bases this year. He's been caught 9 times.
Outside, ball 1. Jackson has stolen at least 20 bases in 3 different seasons. 15 so far this year.
He's going back to the bag as Ray delivered the pitch that time. Ray's got that little twist move he does, and Jackson having a hard time getting a read. I don't know you'd want to run here anyway with Brian up and the wind blowing out. He has really enjoyed hitting here at Wrigley Field.
The bat on his back shoulder, now a little waggle as he cuts and misses. It's 2-2. You see where the Diamondbacks have chosen to work him right on that outside corner, trying to stay away from that pull power. They're going to stay out there here on the 2-2. It the other way to Inciarte, who fires back to first. They got him. That's a double play. Wow. Ender Inciarte. Is Gerardo Parra still wearing a Diamondbacks uniform? My goodness.
They are taking play.
Wow. That's it. Cubs are done in the 3rd. helping raise funds for Lester, Madden, Mott, and Rizzo's foundations in support of pediatric cancer research and awareness. A top contributor from each organization will get 2 tickets and throw a ceremonial first pitch at the game on September 20th. Visit Cubs.com/letsgogold for details. This is how the inning ended.
Learning opportunity. They're finding something out about Inciarte out there as he's drifting towards right center, able to turn his body quickly and fire that strike back into Goldschmidt. So Jackson got caught just a little too far offshore there.
So line out 9-3 double play, and Arrieta back on the mound. 1-0 on Goldschmidt. He singled with 2 outs in the first. That's the thing about Arrieta, man. He can fire one right down the middle and get swings and misses, as he just did on Goldschmidt.
Yeah, not only can he do it, but he does it against an elite hitter like Goldschmidt.
Getting a lot of nominees for the moment of the year. Again, I think it's Arrieta and then everything else. The no-hitter. How about Rondon striking out the side against the Giants after loading the bases?
Yeah, that was pretty big.
That one stood out. Ilya, thank you for the nice note on that. We always think of hits, but I guess sitting next to a former pitcher, we should think
just
more
to,
about those.
To pull a rabbit out of the hat the way he did after loading the bases against the Giants, who, in direct competition went for that second wild card spot.
Schmidt strikes out. Number 2 now for Jake.
Change piece. A different wrinkle. You don't see this very often from Jake. Right on right change up. Digging a little deeper into his playbook here. He's given up some hard contact this afternoon.
With a single and a steal in the first. Ground to Castro. 2 outs. Chris Davis of the Orioles had 2 homers last night. A win at Toronto. He's got 40. Now to lead the major leagues.
They call him Crush. Play on Crash Davis.
Orioles are down 5-1 today. Jose Bautista with a first inning homer for the Blue Jays. They now play the 7th. Tipped by Saltalamacchia. Hey, I mentioned he's got the longest last name in Major League history. History was made last night, and congrats to a Chicago native, former Cub farmhand Tony Zick. Right-handed pitcher made his debut with the Seattle Mariners, and he takes over for Dutch Zwilling. He has the last name alphabetically in the all-time register, Z-Y-C-H, product of St. Rita High School. So David Aardsma and Tony Zick. Everything in between is every player who's ever played in Major League history.
How's Tony spell his name again?
Z-Y-C-H.
Tony Zick. There you go.
Rays lead the Yankees 3-2 as they play the bottom of the 6th at Yankee Stadium. No home runs to date. Yanks are a half game behind the Blue Jays in the East. Swing and a miss. A changeup, a good pitch for Arrieta here in the 4th inning.
Best matchups in baseball. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy, free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
Well, 120 starts here this weekend. If you're a Cub fan, it always feels like it's 120, right?
It's 120 somewhere.
Ray to Rizzo. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball.
Diamondbacks have the shift on again. I'm assuming that's Lamb out there in short right. Or no, it's probably Drury. Like all their infielders are about the same size.
99th career homer and his 2nd career grand slam. New career high with 83 RBIs. And that will drop down in center. Leadoff single, Anthony Rizzo. That's the biggest difference, among others, for Anthony Rizzo. They've got a power guy, cuts down on a swing against lefties. Just think, understanding the idea that if you're going to hit for a high average, every once in a while you just got to loft one over an infielder. You can't hit them all out of the ballpark.
Well, yeah, and I think too, the maturation of a hitter, you start to understand the game better, and the game situation, and when it makes sense to sacrifice power for on base, whether it's punching a single the other way or working a walk, being a little more patient. There are times in the game where it calls for, hey, we need to do damage here, so you might not take a 2-strike approach in certain situations. Continues to be the challenge for Javi Baez, tremendously gifted, and from what I've been told, it's kind of been up and down with him this year. Where he's gone through periods where he has shown an understanding and a willingness to change his approach based on base out and count situations, and there are other times where he'll fall back into that pattern where he's just airing it out on every swing.
Yeah, it's habits, and trying to change those are not easy. biggest thing for any hitting coach working with a guy is when you make any changes, you got to have some success. Because you can sit there if you're John Maley and tell a guy this is what you need to do, but until that guy does it and sees the results, it's going to be a tough sell.
Yeah, there's the subtle art of getting a guy to believe it was his idea.
Right.
That you kind of bring it up and just kind of massage it a little bit, and hopefully he comes up to you someday and, hey, you know what, Males, I think I need to do this. I need to stay inside the ball a little bit better, or change the way I load, moving the hands back, whatever it is that John Mayer, any hitting coach, really would have talked about. You want the player to embrace it. And, having said all that, if the fix for Javi is only partial, he's still got a really good player. Even he's going to be a high strikeout guy. If he can cut down some with his power and his ability to play the infield and speed, he's still going to be a very good player.
Rizzo at first, nobody out. 2-2 from Ray. Knocked down by the catcher, Saltalamacchia.
A good take there. If you recall Baez's last at bat, he chased the changeup down to strike out. Looks like either a change or a little slide piece.
Ball 4.
Walk's a big part of the story yesterday. That's the third one for Ray here this afternoon. So far, other than pitch count issues, it hasn't hurt him. Not on the scoreboard anyway. Hey, everybody clap along.
Two on, nobody out. Castro looks at ball one outside.
With Starlin losing playing time here lately, it's important for Joe Maddon to get him the occasional start and certainly, pinch hit from time to time to keep him sharp, but really just so the guys in the dugout can clap too. They have a big time during the Castro walk-up music.
It's an added bonus for sure. Missed again.
Couple guys on. We talked about it earlier. The tempo slows down. Lots of conversations as the veteran Saltalamacchia tries to nurse the rookie Ray through this situation.
We had a couple of young starting pitchers face the Cubs to start this series. Zach Godley yesterday and Robbie Ray today, and it could simply be that they've missed their spots on occasion, but it looks like they are trying to get the Cubs to go out of their zone, and they're realizing the hard way that by and large they won't.
Yeah, especially with men on base. All of a sudden, and it's not just young pitchers, but I think it's more typical of young pitchers. You start to pitch away from contact with men on base, and you set yourself up for a big inning.
Swing and a miss. A change.
That's a good changeup. There's the counterattack. A fastball count. And guy sitting dead red makes a pitch with the changeup.
Two and one. Here it comes. It's low. Good take.
To me, like he kind of guided that one, and Castro with an early read on it. Think right center here, Starlin. He hangs you a breaking ball or a changeup and yank that one out of the zone.
Rizzo singled. Baez walked. 3-2 on Castro. And he was not going. Ground ball, base hit. Rizzo to third. Gary Jones will stop him. Baez caught, and he got lucky. He got lucky that ball wasn't cut off. He was almost halfway to third. They had a play on him, but the ball got past the cutoff man, so they're loaded.
Mike Harkey, the pitching coach, trotting out to the mound. Castro shoots this ball through the hole between first and second. And Cincinnati, we've already seen his arm, so a quick stop sign from Gary Jones. And we'll see Baez, assuming that Rizzo's going to be sent, taking the big turn, and had Goldschmidt been able to cut that one, they probably would have had a play on him. Rules of the road, get the big picture. Know what's in front of you, what's behind you.
Visit by the former Cub Mike Harkey.
And of course, no texting either while base running.
That's right. AT&T U-verse Multiview. They are loaded for David Ross. See infield. Generally in. It looks like, yeah, they're going to play double play depth up the middle. Actually, all the way around. Here we go. Ross swings and misses. This is a key at bat for the Cubs because Jake Arrieta's on deck. Feels like the inning kind of hinges on this plate appearance for that reason. 0-2.
The challenge hitters by Ray, and gotten them both by David Ross.
With a pitcher on deck, you'd think maybe Chip Hale with 2 strikes would think about moving his middle guys in. But they're still willing to concede the go-ahead run. High, it's 1-2. Do you think twice about it?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, back in the day when Tony La Russa was managing the Cardinals, this is a situation where you might see the infielder start back and then crash. I don't see anybody do that anymore. Tony used to do it a lot. Getting ahead of the hitter a little bit. I think this is just, let's just pound 4-seam fastballs up in the zone, going for a strikeout here.
Goldschmidt way off the bag at first.
Hale in a bit of a pickle here, you know, the old rock and a hard place, because in this situation you have to manage both pitchers. Jake Arrieta's on the other side. You hate to concede a run when you're up against a guy like Arrieta. My goodness, he had no 43 ERA in the month of August. But he's got a very young pitcher out there, and he's trying to do everything he can to minimize the damage for his young left-hander.
Crowd making a lot of noise on a 3-2 with nobody out, and a bouncer to second. Throw's got to go to first. Cubs lead. David Ross with an RBI ground out. So Rizzo is in. It's 1-0.
Well, a KG veteran hitting that ball just soft enough. There was no other option but first base. That ball beat him. He was really late, but he got on top of it. Made some contact and got a run home.
Second and third for Arrieta. The infield is now in. The outfield is moving in several steps. So Jake can come through. Baez at third, Castro at second. And a called strike on the inside corner. Jake made 2 runs hold up in his last start in Los Angeles. So far he's gotten 1 in support. Trying to win his 7th consecutive start.
Pretty good pass at it.
Two balls, 2 strikes. They're really grinding. Single walk, single RBI ground out. That actually showed bunt with 2 strikes. Now it's 3-2.
That was interesting, and Baez ready to react. Arrieta gets that ball down. Baez is going to try to streak home.
He struck him out. 2 outs. Infield will move back as Addison Russell will walk up. Well, I don't know how Ray will look at it if he does get Russell with no further damage, but you can bet his manager will take this as a win. Bases loaded, nobody out. And so far, 1 run in. Could be a lot better for the Cubs and a lot worse for the Diamondbacks.
He played let's make a deal with Chip Hale. He would have taken that deal. He would not want to peek behind the curtain.
2-0.
Not consistent with that changeup, but he's made a number of really good pitches with it. And fastball counts. So he got back into the count with Castro.
Turned into a very bright afternoon. The hazy sun. 2-2. With the cloud cover, it's kind of silver white-ish if you look up toward the sky. Similar if you get really close to the side of my head. Too many gray hairs coming in.
I don't see any.
Stand back. Don't look too close. 3-2. Fowler on deck. Randall Delgado. There's a ball in the Diamondbacks bullpen. The bad look out on the strike 3 to end the inning, and I think everybody fortunately is okay. Cubs do get the lead. They hope for more. It's 1-0 after 4.
Often about this game being a game of adjustments. Jake Arrieta, primarily fastball, slider, curveball, but implementing that changeup here today very effectively, getting a couple of punch outs last inning. Swing and miss from the righty Goldschmidt, and swing and miss from the switch hitter Salta Lamacchia from the left side on that circle change.
Well, we have pointed out on a few occasions this year, as great as he has been, he still trails Zach Greinke in a couple of key categories. Earned run average, he's at 207. Greinke's at 159. Opponent's batting average, Jake is at 196. Greinke at 189. It's almost hard to fathom that Greinke has been better than Arrieta this season. But we still have a month to go. Here's Jake Lamb. And the strike, and Clayton Kershaw has had the best ERA of the bunch since the end of May. I have to throw about 130 pitches to complete that win against the Giants the other night.
I think it was a 126 maybe, something like that. Arrieta having a historic season in this franchise's history. I mean, he has a 2.11 ERA coming into this start. Since 1920, which was roughly the end of the dead ball era, only the great Grover Cleveland Alexander and Lon Warneke with better ERAs than Arrieta in a single season.
Strike 3 called on a fastball. 132 pitches for Kershaw the other night to beat the Giants.
Sundays are Kids Sundays at Wrigley Field. Tomorrow after the ball game, the first 1,000 kids 13 and younger with wristbands will be allowed on the field to run the bases, weather permitting. For more information on this program, visit Cubs.com/kids.
Pounded on the ground by Drury. Baez from third.
In 1920, Alexander had a 1.91 ERA. In 1933, Lon Warnke had an ERA right at 2. That's the year Warnke rattled off 17 consecutive quality starts or whatever it was. And then in 1963, Dick Ellsworth fashioned a 2.11 ERA, same as Arrieta coming into the start.
It has been mighty impressive. There are certain guys, man, you get into the 7th or 8th inning, especially on a hot day or night. You've dropped the Ted Stryker reference a few times this year. Jake is just kind of the anti that. He's
a ninja. He's like that guy in the movies, you know, when there's like one guy and 14 guys and they all run at him and he karate chops one guy and throws him out of the way, and then the next guy makes a run at him. That's kind of the way he's been going through National League hitters. He's standing out there on the mound, flipping one over his back, drop kicking another one. And unruffled through it all.
Fly, Bryant and Fowler. This will give way. Fowler hauls it in. That's 3 straight 1-2-3s now for Arrieta. Settled in, leading 1-0. In Victor, Iowa. And happy birthday belatedly to Cash Zirkle, Bourbonnais, here for his first Cubs game with mom Sarah McIntosh. Cash turned 8 yesterday. Big Chris Bryant fan. Also enjoyed a tour of the ballpark before the game. Happy birthday, Cash. Robbie Ray to Dexter Fowler and a high drive deep left field. It is gone. Number 16 for Fowler.
As soon as Ray started this inning, action started in the bullpen. A little bit surprised to see him back out there with a high pitch count. He was able to minimize the damage last inning. That bottom at least one more. Does not start well for him as Dexter Fowler jumps all over this hanging off-speed pitch. Belly button high and gone.
So these are all new career highs every time he hits a home run. Number 16, as I mentioned. Career high 89th run scored. Jackson fouls 0-2. Five homers in the series for the Cubs. 68 since the All-Star break, leading the National League. On strike three, Jackson is out for the first time.
Six punch out for Ray. That home run that Fowler hit, just the 7th long ball allowed by Ray this year.
Eric checks in on Twitter, said belly button high. That's my alma mater. Well played.
The Navals.
On to the Naval Academy. I thought it was funny.
She did too.
Coming home, and that will reach the seats to the right.
You're getting to 96 miles an hour that fastball. Just watching his delivery in this inning, the way he's gone about it. His first pitch, that was a changeup or some kind of a breaking ball to Fowler. He seems to have slowed down his delivery just a little bit, as if Mike Harkey told him, look, you got one more inning, go out there and pitch. Don't throw, don't try to overpower the ball. Just go out there and pitch.
Swing and a miss. Strike three in his 7th fanning of the game.
He didn't make his pitch here. They're trying to go in with a fastball. He cuts one loose. It's out away from Bryant. He got the desired result.
Strike to Rizzo. He scored the first run. Singled in the 4th. 3 batters later came home on the David Ross RBI ground out. Out hitting Arizona 4-3. Diamondbacks, all 3 hits coming within the first 6 batters of the game as Ray strikes out 3 in an inning for the 2nd time, but the first pitch of the inning left the yard. Dexter Fowler makes it 2-0.
2-0 as we head to the 6th inning here. And before the game, Wellington Castillo, who obviously catching with the Diamondbacks now, popped his way over into the Cubs clubhouse and was passing out hugs, saying hi to a lot of his old teammates, and walked up to me saying, you know, I really miss these guys. I feel like I've known most of them my whole life, and I'm just really happy to see them doing so well and getting so much success. But he said back in the day during the trade, it was really hard for him. Looking at it now, thinks maybe it worked out for both parties, saying he's even improved over here, having a great year. And I know we've been talking about the young pitching on the Diamondbacks staff, guys. Wellington said he dealt with a lot of that here with the Cubs, and really as a young guy himself didn't know how to help them through it, and thinks now in the situation he's in, he can help them. So interesting how that growth period works, and I think he's really liking things in Arizona. Good to see him doing well.
You're right, Kelly. Great guy, and he ended up in a good spot. And as JD mentioned, Miguel Montero came here. Cubs had 3 catchers, with David Ross being the primary backup. Tomas, the pinch hitter, strikes out. Just felt like a matter of time before Welly ended up in Arizona. 5 strikeouts now for Jake Arrieta. 12 in a row now. He's retired.
Yeah, there's certainly a need there with the Diamondbacks. Tuffy Goswich got hurt. They had a Rule 5 catcher, Hernandez, on the roster, so they needed to get somebody in there to help stabilize the situation. So they got Saltalamacchia from the Marlins. They got Welly from the Mariners. Castillo having a big year.
Ciarte bunts through, strike 1.
Diamondbacks' best chances came in the first couple innings. Jake was not really locked in with his location. They had 3 hits through the first 6 batters of this game. They made some solid contact, lined into a couple outs, and he thought, hey, maybe this is the day that Jake gives it up. Nope. Continues to mow him down.
Strikes. Baez backs up a few steps at third. Ground ball to Rizzo. Arrieta. It's a perfect feed for his first baseman.
Take home a game used or autographed item and help benefit Cubs charities. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. Visit Cubs.com/authentics to bid on weekly auction items and to pre-order game-used bases and baseballs. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities.
Pollock with 2 outs. David Price got his 100th career win today as the Blue Jays dumped the Orioles 5-1 in Toronto. And the Jays needed that win because the Yankees are right on their heels. Half game back going into action this afternoon. The Yankees are down 3-2 in the top of the 8th at home against Tampa Bay.
The Jays are going to get Marcus Stroman back here in fairly short order. He's been out most of the year. What a lift he could provide that rotation.
De La Rosa and Kyle Hendricks will match up tomorrow to wrap up the week.
A little more context on the season that Arrieta is having. I mentioned his ERA and where it stood among the all-time best seasons for the Cubs. Batting average against 195 coming into this start. Number 1 all-time for the Cubs. Post dead ball era, so it's 1920 going forward. Numbers 2, 3, and 4 on that list belong to Kerry Wood.
Swing and a miss. Another 1, 2, 3. Ho hum. for Arrieta. 2-0. Two 2-0. Chip Hale goes into his bullpen. Randall Delgado will make his 50th appearance.
35-year-old right-hander. Yeah, formerly a starting pitcher with the Braves, and there was a time when he was one of the Braves' top pitching prospects. He's moved along here to the Diamondbacks.
Third year with Arizona, a couple of years with Atlanta before that. Baez bunts foul. 25 years old. Delgado, 6'4", 220 from Panama.
There's more of a starting pitcher's mix out there on the mound. Fastball, slider, changeup. Real good changeup. Occasionally a curveball. Here comes the change.
Good one.
Yeah, he's got a dandy. Right over the top, kind of a short arm delivery. Changeup's been a theme here today. Ray's an effective weapon. It has been for Arrieta. It's always been a big pitch for Delgado. So in Robbie Ray, it looks like the Diamondbacks have the beginnings of a good starting major league pitcher. He's just 23 years old. He punched out 8 today. He's 96 miles an hour at times with the fastball. Just a matter of finding some consistency with the location.
He is felled by that foul ball off himself. Inside of the left leg, maybe the knee area. Two.
Still in a bit of pain, yeah.
Ground. Baez hustling down the line, going to be close. He got him. Owings makes the play. Tonight is Chicago Fire Soccer Night on CSN starting at 6. Get to know striker David Akam in a brand new episode of Inside Look. Then watch the men in red try to make their move in the standings against Montreal. It all starts tonight at 6 on CSN. Castro's got 2 hits in the 6th spot, playing second base today.
Bill Welke's telling the band to stop playing. He's trying to quiet the music. Let's go. We're trying to play ball here.
Castro enjoyed it. One and two. Owens again slings it across. Ross, the go-ahead RBI on the ground out in the 4th. Walked in the 2nd. Make-up double-header after a rainout last night in Cincinnati. In a wild one, the Brewers lead the Reds late 7-6. Cincinnati at one point had a 5-1 lead. Elian Herrera has homered for the Crew. It is a split DH. So you've got another game tonight. 1-1 on Ross. Chat with Hall of Famer Fergie Jenkins in the 7th. Greatest pitcher in Cubs history. Driven in the air to deep center. Pollock, a couple of steps in front of the dirt. And the inning is over. We will go to the 7th. It's the Cubs 2 and the Diamondbacks nothing. In the Wrigley Field Concourse by Gate D this weekend. So if you're out tomorrow, make sure you stop by and exchange for donations to be raised for the Ron and Vicky Santo Diabetic Alert Dog Foundation. And they're hoping to raise enough money this weekend to fund a dog to be named Fergie. So here he is, Ferguson Jenkins, greatest pitcher in Cubs history, is with us. And glad you're here today to watch Jake Arrieta in person. But first of all, let's talk about the charitable work that you do all the time, and you're here signing autographs this weekend.
Well, we're doing it for Vicky and Ron Santo for basically diabetes. And then I think about it. The fans have really been outstanding, showing up, buying balls or wanting 8x10, shaking hands, having pictures taken. And I think Cub fans have never changed. They're outstanding.
Jake Arrieta goes into this inning not having allowed an earned run over his last 27 innings pitched. He has been really locked in once again as he faces a dangerous hitter, Paul Goldschmidt, and that's outside 1-1. Did you stay up late, watch Sunday night's no-hitter?
Yes, I did. I've seen videos of 2 different days, and I think he's a real horse. I mean, he's really done well this year and proven that he knows what he's doing when he takes that mound. That's the big plus. When you're relaxed, you know what your job is, and that's to get people out. I mean, it makes the game a lot easier. Guys behind you play better. When you throw strikes, stay ahead of the hitter.
He's ahead of Goldschmidt, 1-2. Cubs leading 2-0. That was the final last Sunday when he threw his no-hitter in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's the other part. He hasn't been pitching with a ton of run support, so it's not like he's been able to go out there with a 5-6 run lead. I mean, he's been pitching in a lot of tight games, and he's the same guy regardless of the score, just attacking hitters one pitch after another.
I think if you learn to pitch with less runs, it makes you a better pitcher. You tell yourself, I can't make mistakes. And that's what the game, especially pitching, that part of his game. The fewer mistakes you make and your team scores 1 or 2 runs, you don't give up runs. That's it.
2-2 on Goldschmidt, who is 1 for 2 today. And got away 3-2.
Went back to the changeup. He got him with a changeup last time. Tried it again here, and he just left his hand. He just kind of squirted out of his hand.
Next pitch will be number 90. Here comes a 3-2 slider, and it was up, but he got away with it, fouled away. Fergie, we had the note earlier, according to Elias, Addison Russell from the 9 spot. And obviously, most National League teams use the pitcher to hit 9th. He's the first Cub to start in the 9th spot and have a 2-homer game since September 1st, 1971. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, they told me when I did the radio interview. Playing against Montreal, I had 2 home runs. Bill Stoneman and a Tim Burton or a Burton hit off their pitchers. But
did you finish the game and did you win the game?
I think I did.
Yeah,
I think I won the game.
That's a good bet.
I knocked in like 3 or 4 runs, which was a fun day for me. Both hitting and pitching.
Yeah, you were a very good hitter. Now David Peralta. Did you not like it as much in the American League when you didn't get to hit?
Well, the DH was something. When I went to Texas, I had Alex Johnson as the DH 1 year, Rico Cardi another year, and when I went to Boston, I had Jim Rice as a DH. So, I mean, they did a heck of a job. All I had to do was go out there and pitch, which was a lot of fun in the American League. It was something to learn new hitters and a new league.
Sure.
That first year with Texas, when I won 25 games, I had Alex Johnson and also Toby Harrah as DHs. So, I mean, it was fun having them go out there and do a great job, even though they weren't in the field playing. They scored runs for me.
Yep. Hard on the ground. Castro's got it. 2 outs.
But Billy Martin managing that club, Fergie?
Yeah, I had Billy 2 years in Texas.
Yeah, what are your impressions of
No nonsense.
Billy?
Hey, go out there and play. And if you're in that lineup, your job is to play that position and to produce. And as a pitcher, that's all I wanted to do.
Right.
Stay out of his doghouse. Yeah, it was fun. Texas, I was there 6 years. And just like here in Chicago, they had heavy humidity from time to time. And, I didn't perspire a whole lot. And I had fun pitching that little ballpark.
Yeah.
It's called Turnpike Stadium.
Did you get into the whole cowboy culture down there?
Oh, yeah, I wore cowboy boots
and
hats and shirts. And, that was a fun situation. Those 6 years were a lot of fun. A lot of good people in Texas.
Pitching in the heat in Texas. 0-1, misses outside. I was going to say, you never pitched at the old ballpark in Houston, right? Did you
no.
only pitch at the Astrodome?
Just the Astrodome, yep.
Billy and Ernie used to tell stories, Ronnie, about Colt Stadium.
Ooh. Yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, the mosquitoes were as big as nickels, they said.
Good one to miss.
Oh, yeah. You know, at night, when it's humid, the mosquitoes always come out, especially on grass, open. But the Astrodome was fun to pitch in.
1-2 the count. Salt de la Macchia outside. You got your 21st win on September 1st, 1971. Game against the Expos. And you did finish.
The 71, that was a good year. I had a lot of complete ball games that year. And I ended up beating Tom Seaver for the Cy Young Award, which was kind of a task in itself. You know, there were a lot of good pitchers in the 70s. Marichal was still pitching good. Perry, Carlton, there were Sutton, there were
Gibson,
a lot of guys. Yeah, Negro. There were a lot of pitchers that were winning 20 games that year.
The Orioles rotation in the other league.
Yep.
30 complete games, not 30 starts, people. 30 complete games in 1971 for Fergie Jenkins. That could be trouble. Fowler back on it, and he can't get it. And it's going to bounce out of play. Salt de la Macchia probably would have had a triple had it stayed in play. As it is, it's a 2-out double.
First hit, first base runner for the Diamondbacks since the Lamb single in the second. Only the third man, to reach scoring position today for the Diamondbacks.
Elevated slider. Fowler almost got to it. Fergie, I talked to Dexter the other day. You know, he plays a little more shallow than most center fielders, and he likes taking away blue pits. He feels like if a pitcher makes his pitch, he does not want a ball to drop in front of him. Did you prefer your outfielders maybe play a little more shallow because you didn't want blue hits to drop?
Well, you know, I had Cesar Tovar playing center field in Texas for quite a while. Here, Adolfo Phillips, Don Young. I just think that you get used to an outfielder and you check them between pitches a lot of times or after an out to see where they're playing. The shallowest I've ever seen a player play was probably Paul Blair and with Baltimore. And he could go get him. If they ever hit over his head, he did some Willie Mays catches. But that was just if you preferred a guy playing shallow, you pitch to how he was playing. Shift was on, things like that. But they're going to go out there and get that ball. If they got an opportunity to catch it, they'll outrun it.
Yeah, Dexter's very comfortable going back on fly balls, and not every outfielder is. 2-0. And Lamb taps that one toward third. Arrieta barehands it, throw. Called him safe, said Rizzo is off the bag, and Anthony wants Joe to look at it.
It's a tough call for the umpire. There's a whole lot going on there with Anthony moving inside to receive that throw, but it looked like they were going to get him.
He's going to be out.
Yeah, I think they got him.
Review it. What a catch! Just
great footwork and great concentration. My goodness.
Well, we know what the result's going to be. So, Fergie, you're going to sing here in a few seconds.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, as always.
Thank you.
You know this is your home away from home, and stop by anytime. It's been a real fun year.
All right.
Thanks,
we got a little lull of the action. Good friend of mine's father's sick right now. Tom Davis in Peoria. Bob. So I'm hoping he recovers and does well. But Tommy Davis is really a really nice guy. And I know he wanted to have his father mentioned on television. So I said, I'd be glad to do it for him.
You got it. Our Forsyth replay review going on, and we're getting ready again for Fergie Jenkins to sing the stretch. And this should not take very long, as Rizzo is clearly on the base. Cubs players are ready to walk off the field. They've seen it on the board, and stretch time with Fergie.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Cubs Hall of Famer Fergie Jenkins.
Come on, everybody up. Let's go, let's go, let's sing. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. All right.
Consideration. And it's Elizabeth Sandman. Enter the Sandman. How about that? That is absolutely lights out. Tweet your strongest fan photo to Northside, or excuse me, hashtag Northside Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
David Hernandez.
Big guy, big arm. Fairly big ERA at 4.62. On for the 31st time.
Arrieta will lead off the bottom of the 7th. Sinking fastball 93 for a strike. Is coming back from elbow reconstruction. Missed all of last year and half of this year, at least the first couple of months. 6'3", 245.
Delgado with a scoreless inning in relief of Ray. 3-3 down for Delgado. Yesterday, as I mentioned, 6 pitchers for the Diamondbacks, all rookies. That group collectively has thrown 68 major league innings this year. So we could kind of understand the struggles in that ball game yesterday for both the starter and the bullpen guys. Many of them getting their first look here at Wrigley Field.
Called strike 3. Next week, as the Cubs hit the road and the playoff race heats up, turn to CSN Chicago for 5 straight games. Beginning Tuesday night in St. Louis against the first place Cardinals. Join us for the first pitch at 7 right here on CSN Chicago. Listen, Russell with 1 out. It's ball 1.
Pirates and Cardinals are in the middle of the 2nd in St. Louis. No score there. Charlie Morton, Jaime Garcia, the starting pitchers in that ball game. It was a large pretzel or whatever the heck it is.
I'm going to go with pretzel.
Pretzel ring.
So I said greatest pitcher in Cubs history, Fergie Jenkins, as we just have a little fun with Baseball Reference. Wins above replacement for pitchers in Cubs history. Fergie had 53.2. Any guesses as to who has the second most wins above replacement all time for Cubs pitchers? I'll give you a hint. Mordecai Brown was number 3.
Okay,
so
Mordecai was going to be my next guess. Lon Warnke.
Nope.
Charlie Root.
Golf to deep left. And he just missed it in the well. It's caught by Peralta. Rick Russell, 48.3. Big Daddy, yeah. Top 10. Jenkins, Russell, Brown, Clark Griffith, Pete Alexander. Let's go over, right? Yeah, we mentioned him earlier. Bill Hutchinson, Hippo Vaughn, Charlie Root, Carlos Zambrano, and John Clarkson. Z makes the top 10. Al Spalding, the all-time leader in earned run average, with 1.78. Three-finger Brown, 180. Charlie Root, the most wins, the only Cub to win over 200 games. He had 201 wins. Hits per 9 innings pitched. All-time Cub leader.
Gary Wood.
Carlos Marmol, 5.89. The leader by a full hit. Orville Overall was second on that list.
Where's Kerry Wood on that list?
He's not. He's third. 7.037. Ball 4. Career high set every time Fowler walks. That's his 71st. So you might get a little, conversation going in terms of Brown or Jenkins. But I think we're pretty safe in saying Fergie, all-time strikeout leader, 2,038. Carlos Zambrano second, 1,542. I feel very comfortable declaring Fergie the greatest pitcher in Cubs history. It's fun to say it with him right next to him, right?
Yeah. If I were to say greatest pitcher to have ever worn a Cub uniform,
okay,
would you go Greg Maddux?
That's a different conversation.
Certainly at this stage of the ball game, you're thinking about one-run strategies, willing to try to steal a base here earlier in the game. The running game not as much in play because the wind's blowing out, and thinking about playing for a big inning. But you're in the 7th, 2 outs.
Well, Fergie and Greg, of course, had their number 31 retired. Fergie as a Cub, 167, 132 with a 320 in a decade. 2,600 innings. For Maddux, 133, 112 the record. 361, 2,000 innings. Different eras. That's why Fergie would have pitched a lot more innings. Greg was really good as a Cub. He was way better as a Brave, though. His ERA was a run better, 2.63 in Atlanta.
Well, he struggled early in his career, as most guys do. So his first year here, I'm looking. First full year, he was 21 years of age. He was 6-14 with a 5.61 ERA. And the very next year, at the age of 22, he was an All-Star, 18-8 with a 3.18 ERA. So it took him a little while to become Greg Maddux.
Swing and a miss to end the inning. 2 strikeouts for Hernandez in the 7th. Cubs lead this one, 2-0 lead. Grace in a blowout. Pitching to a kid named David Ross, who hit his first major league home run. That was when David was with the Dodgers. He had fun with it. And Ross has not given up a base runner in 2 appearances on the mound this year.
And David has hit a home run this year as a pitcher. His only home run. So if they ever dedicate a wing of the Hall of Fame for baseball oddities, there may be a David Ross display in there.
Drury as Arrieta works into the 8th.
This run Arrieta has been on has just been unbelievable. You could take a major league pitcher, middle of the rotation guy, pluck him off of any of these big league staffs, put him down in AAA. It would be very difficult to replicate the run that he has had against the best hitters in the world here at the major league level.
Bounding ball charged by Russell, and he has time to get Drury. Oh, and he's not been a 5 and dive guy or even a 6-inning guy. He's gone deep into a lot of games.
Yeah, and some of the games where he's come out after 6, he was, willing, ready, and able to push on. It was Joe that took him out trying to save some bullets. He's had a couple games where he worked 6 innings but had a big lead, so Joe said, hey, let's shut it down right there, go to the bullpen.
So when this amazing run of quality starts began, just give you the innings pitched: 9, 7, 8, 6 2/3, 9, 7, 6, 6, 7, 7 2/3, 6 2/3, 6, 6, 9, and at least 7 1/3 today. But pitch counts kind of in the 95 to 120 range, so nothing too overly taxing.
And a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings. So. Not a lot of pitches made under duress in many of those starts.
That put Bill Welke up top, and he's all right, thankfully. Two and two. Wellington Castillo's on deck. How about this one as Jackson makes a catch? Including today, over his last 7 starts, he's given up earned runs in 1 start. That was at the White Sox. 3 runs, 2 earned. No earned runs in 6 of his last 7 starts, including this one. To this point, is Phil Gosselin will get the at bat. Would have been Castillo in a game tying situation.
2 starts ago in San Francisco, the beginning of the last road trip, he allowed a run, but it was unearned. Cubs won 2 games on that road trip. Arrieta won them both. That game in San Francisco, then the no-hitter against the Dodgers.
I'm not sure Jake could go down to AAA right now and put up the last month he's put up. Just pure luck. Somebody would get a hold of one.
You're not supposed to dominate at this level like this, man. This is so impressive.
That's why he's smiling on the graphic. Rizzo will get it. Arrieta covers. And that's the inning. Nicely done, Anthony Rizzo. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Still 2-0 Cubs. At beautiful Wrigley Field, as the Cubs offer 90-minute guided tours that include a chance to step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. For more information, go to Cubs.com/tours. Another guy coming back from a couple of Tommy John surgeries, Daniel Hudson. Strike to Chris Bryant.
If velocity is an indicator, he appears to be all the way back. That one clocked at 97. He hit 100 in a game the other day. He's averaging 96 miles an hour with the fastball.
3 appearances last year in his return. Double Tommy John. Well, it's not really double Tommy John. He didn't have surgery on both arms at the same time. That would be really painful. Back-to-back reconstructions. It's over in New York. The Rays beat the Yankees 3-2. So New York now a game and a half behind Toronto in the American League East, even though the Yankees are leading the wild card race. Swing and a miss. He struck him out on 98.
The delivery looks to me like it would put a lot of stress on the elbow. Hudson, originally drafted by the White Sox in 2008, broke in with them in 2009.
Commented in the past about the feeds from Rizzo, not only the nice sliding play, but he usually puts it right on the money to that pitcher covering.
Yeah, you want that ball up above the belt, and you want it with some pace on it.
Way up in the air. And it's caught by
that guy.
That guy. You the man. Nice catch, Chief. I think that's
Lamb again. Yeah, roaming all over the place. You need to put that Lamb in the pen. You see the flags there. The wind is not much of a factor right now.
That Lamb looked a little sheepish even after that ball. But it was with sheer joy that he made the catch. Baez takes a strike. So Jake Arrieta, 116 pitches through 8. He's done, right?
Well, Rondon's up and ready. Top of the order's up. It would be their 4th look at him. I'm guessing he's done. He's been so dominant, it feels like a more comfortable lead than it is. I mean, we're a bloop and a blast away from a tie game.
Driven out in the deep right center. Pollock, though, will haul it in. So we will go to the 9th. And it's going to be Hector Rondon. the road after tomorrow. St. Louis, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, 11 days and 11 games. There is an off day and a day-night doubleheader included on the trip. We've got some changes aside from the Cubs pitcher. And the guy who started the game and went 8 is our Vinny's Beverage Depot toast of the game. That's Jake Arrieta trying to get his 18th win.
Yeah, you know, by Jake's standards, and you have to qualify everything when you talk about this guy, not quite as sharp early on, but once he found that release point, he started dealing. And the changeup, you say another good one there. That changeup was a big weapon for him here this afternoon.
Bryant goes left to third. Chris Denorfia is now in left. Baez is at second. So Castro is out. And Hector Rondon 1-0 on Ender Inciarte. All the way. Hector gave up the big home run to Joey Votto the other day, but it came after the Bryant error. It would have ended that 9th inning. It was in a tie ball game. This is a save situation today. Right back to him, and he can't get it. And neither can Baez. Inciarte finds a way on base, and the tying run will come up with nobody out.
For the second straight day, Inciarte has not hit the ball out of the infield. A little whiff there by Rondon on that slow ground ball.
Looks like he hit him a changeup.
Didn't stay down long enough.
There's Pollock. Yeah, you kind of alluded to it earlier, and now with a runner on, it really stares you in the face. Arrieta made this game feel like it was 8-0.
Yeah,
this is a good offense.
It felt like there was no chance they were going to do anything against him.
Sharply hit. Bryant picks it up. Throw to second for 1, 2. They get him. 5-4-3.
Well, a costly error the other day, but this time Bryant picks up Rondon. Slick play. Absolutely. Ovation from the stands, ovation from the dugout. Good turn by Baez. That's huge. And Paul Goldschmidt stepping into the batter's box.
Boy, it could have been 2 on, nobody out if he doesn't make the play cleanly. Instead, they turn the double play, and Goldschmidt takes strike 1. The 0-1. Outside.
Day after day, this game presents opportunities to be a hero or to be a goat. It was one heck of a play at a very big time by Chris Bryant.
Lined into left. 2 hits today for Goldschmidt in his return to their lineup. David Peralta.
Goldschmidt missed a couple of days, but he didn't miss a beat. Peralta has power. He's hit 14 home runs this year.
Cubs not concerned about Goldschmidt. He's probably just going to walk to second. Rizzo playing way behind him. Goldschmidt takes off. Peralta hits a ground ball. Rizzo will field. The flip. Cubs win. Cubs win a combined 6-hit shutout. And a chance for a series sweep tomorrow.
Well, yesterday the wind was blowing in and 19 runs went up on the board. Today the wind was blowing out for most of the afternoon, but the pitching able to neutralize that. And in particular, Jake Arrieta with another sterling effort here today. 8 shutout for Arrieta on his way to his 18th win.
Leading the major leagues. 7 straight wins in his last 7 starts for Jake Arrieta. That'll wrap up our coverage from the ballpark. We have more to come, however, for our Cubs coverage. Final score, Cubs 2, Diamondbacks